Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
May 6, 2020, the I Wanna Stay Home edition. First up, what do you do if you don't want to go back to the office? Well, it turns out that a large portion of America's workforce does not want to return to the office. They want to work at home. People other than introverts view return to the office with sadness and anxiety, and not just because of the risk of getting infected. A majority of American adults working from home would prefer to do so as much as possible after the pandemic. Reasons are from productivity to being better rested to saving the time and money of commuting, and a wide variety. It's not clear whether or not companies will respond to what their workers want, and obviously this is an option for white-collar workers mostly, but it certainly does have some downsides, as Zoom meetings and a kitchen table can be distracting, and of course data security and data privacy. But it's less time on the road, it can be greater productivity, certainly a cleaner environment, money saved from commuting, more job satisfaction, less sickness, and more time for fitness. So certainly something to think about. From The Guardian over in the United Kingdom, the British accountancy watchdog has opened an investigation to EY's audit of the scandal-ridden private hospital operator NMC Health, which collapsed into administration last month. EY's just had a series of missteps in the United Kingdom, and apparently there was over $2.7 billion in debt that was uncovered by administrators, which EY failed to uncover in an audit. So yet another black eye for EY. From Reuters, Mexico urges the U.S. to probe all officials with ties to ex-ministers. Mexico's president on Monday urged Washington to investigate all officials, including members of elite U.S. law enforcement agencies, who had ties to a former Mexican security minister accused of taking bribes from a top drug gang. The arrest of the minister late last year sent shockwaves across Mexico, and he was indicted on charges of accepting millions of dollars from the Sinaloa cartel, once led by El Chapo. So whether the United States has begun an investigation or not, the Mexican government is urging them to do so. And finally, an extraordinarily interesting article in Bloomberg, where the former chief of about the end of the Milton Friedman-based shareholder-only corporation. I found this extraordinarily interesting. Certainly follows the statement of corporate purpose from the U.S. Business Roundtable, which advocated a wide variety of stakeholder interests in a corporation. And given what's happened to everyone in the coronavirus crisis, it may indeed be the end of shareholder capitalism only going forward. Peter Orszag, head of Lazar's financial advisory practice and a former Obama administration budget chief, wrote in Bloomberg the pandemic will upend long-held business practices. It could be a wider variety of stakeholder capitalism. It certainly could be putting shareholders above all others is now passé, and indeed will no longer be the corporate norm going forward. Given the reputational hit that many companies have taken when they took the SBA bailout money, that they could well be right going forward. Coming up on this month's edition of the Compliance Live, I visit with Ellen Hunt. She's the CCO at AARP. We're going to have 4 episodes on Ellen's journey up to the CCO chair and beyond. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.